Welcome to Planting Seeds. We will be planting seeds of wellness, knowledge, and nurturing. I'm your host, Jill O'Hara, and my mission is to provide you with accurate, up-to-date, and high-quality information that will enhance your life, help you to live a more balanced, healthier, and more joyful life. We want you to heal, grow, and thrive. Thank you for joining us again. Today I am here on Planting Seeds with my guest, Debbie Brick. We'd like to welcome Debbie, who is a holistic nutritionist and educator, as well as a Reiki practitioner. Welcome, Debbie. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So, nutrition, as we know, is a big deal, okay? Especially those in the holistic and natural community understand the true importance of eating not just good food, but really good food, awesome food that helps the body to do everything it's supposed to do. Tell me, if you would, what it is that you do. You're a holistic nutritionist, so what does a holistic nutritionist do?
Basically, what I do is I look at the entire individual. I look at their lifestyle, environmental factors, toxicity, stress, even spirituality.
Okay.
And I do a complete health and history evaluation and history, and then I create custom meal plans for my clients that help them achieve their optimal health. I look for nutritional deficiencies, and we're all bio-individuals, so everybody's different.
Okay. When I'm looking at what you do, and I'm saying, how do you become a nutritionist, and what motivated you, what inspired you to come along into this line of work?
Well, when I was 17 years old, it's going way back, my father had his first triple bypass surgery at 43. And that was a rude awakening for me. And then 5 years later, he had another open heart surgery, and he's had more surgeries since then. And as I got older and I saw people getting sicker around me, I knew that there had to be a better way. There had to be something to heal the body, because drugs weren't working. And so and then I started not feeling well myself. And so I did a lot of research, and there was so much conflicting information online. I went to see a nutritionist myself, and just a few tweaks in my diet, I already started feeling better. So that really motivated me to go to college and learn for myself, and what I've learned is invaluable, and it's being able to help other people and see how just by changing their diet and lifestyle, how disease can go into remission, and they just feel better, anxiety gone, depression.
Okay. Yeah, as a registered nurse and holistic practitioner myself, I've always known the importance of food, because it is our fuel, it's our body's fuel. And if we're putting in greasy French fries and burgers and, all that stuff that we know we shouldn't be eating, okay, if we're putting that into our body, it's like putting gasoline into our tank that's got a little bit of sugar added to it, really. Mm-hmm. Where what you're talking about, talking to people about truly healthy choices, now we're talking about a premium grade.
Right, and I'm all about education. Mm-hmm. So, because I'm the type of person that if you say to me, do this, and don't tell me why I'm doing it, I won't stick to it.
Okay.
So I'm constantly educate my clients with tons of handouts and information showing them why these foods are good for you and what they do to your body, and why these foods are bad for you, or ingredients, and what they do to your body in a negative way, so that you actually look at food differently. So it's not a canned diet, it's a lifestyle change.
Okay. And I do just want to remind the audience, pick up a pen and paper. Debbie's name and contact information is at the bottom of the screen there. You work with individuals, I understand that, but you also do some teaching as well.
I do.
And as you mentioned, education, that's the number one thing because I think it's confusing out there what's healthy, what's not healthy. You hear something new every single day, and try as you might not really be getting the nutrition that you need. So education is a huge key to that. You also mentioned holistic care in general, and stress is a huge part of our lives today.
Right.
How do foods help to manage that stress? What do they?
Well,
deliver?
there are specific nutrients that help, and especially herbs that help calm the body, like adaptogenic herbs.
Mhm.
We have a high incidence of adrenal fatigue in this area,
Yes.
and adaptogenic herbs like ashwagandha, holy basil, ginseng, like that, herbs like that, actually do help to repair the adrenals and calm the body and calm stress. And then healthy eating also helps with that as well. When we don't eat healthy, we actually compromise our gut. And 90% of serotonin is produced in the gut to be used by the brain. So if we have an unhealthy gut, a lot of times people that suffer from depression and anxiety and don't know why, it's because of their diet.
Because of their diet. The gut health, which is what 80% of our immune system resides there,
Right.
and 90%, as you said, of the feel-good chemicals that flow through us. So we need to keep that extremely healthy, all right, if we want to. I would think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but with the foods, as long as we're eating really a well-balanced, good diet, we're helping our body to better than cope with the stress.
We are
Yes.
helping our body better to cope with stress, but stress management plays a huge role in
Okay.
lifestyle. You can eat a super healthy diet, but if you're constantly in a state of stress or anxiety, then it also compromises our health in many ways.
And it continues.
So I suggest meditation, yoga. There's all sorts of seeing a Reiki practitioner, ways that we can deal with stress.
That we can definitely do with that. When we look at food today, a lot of the foods, we know the soils have been depleted of nutrients, and things are not always ideal when it comes to the foods we pick up even in the grocery markets. And do you often feel you recommend to your clients that they take supplements? Is that necessary, or is it?
Many times, well, the one supplement I do suggest most people to take is magnesium. Most of us are deficient in magnesium because of our soil, like you said. I eat tons of nuts and leafy greens and things, and I still need that magnesium. I can tell when I don't have enough magnesium, and it's responsible for over 300 enzymatic reactions in the body.
Okay.
And then there are some supplements, depending on what I'm dealing with, if somebody has leaky gut, that I will put them on, that if depending on how well they do with their diet, and once they're healed, they can remove some of those. We try to get I try to get as many nutrients from our diet.
Okay. Leaky gut. Okay, that's a word a lot of people are starting to hear more of. Okay, I first heard the term about maybe 15 years ago. And can you explain to the audience what is leaky gut and how does that happen?
Okay, so leaky gut is when we have this lining in our small intestines that the only thing that's supposed to permeate it is macronutrients or micronutrients. And when we have an unhealthy diet or consume too many medications, even the NSAIDs like Advil, will cause gut damage. Antibiotics, because they kill the good flora in the gut, can cause leaky gut. And what that means is we get small little perforations in our intestinal lining. And when that happens, small particles of food can actually enter into the bloodstream, and that causes an immune response because it's not supposed to be there. And it can manifest itself in many ways. It can be allergies, arthritis, IBD, IBS.
Right.
Pretty much anyone with an autoimmune disease has leaky gut.
Is leaky gut. And it is something that's repairable. It takes time.
Correct.
Excuse me. Antibiotics, all those things, you know, we take them because we're thinking that they're helping us to heal, when in fact they may be, you know, creating a lot of damage. So going to somebody like you who can educate people, say if they have to undergo antibiotic therapy, you know, maybe you could offer them what foods do you really need to eat now because you are on those antibiotics to help to prevent future problems.
Absolutely.
That's something you could work with an individual with.
Yes.
I would wonder, what is it that you do? What is it that keeps you motivated and keep going back? You know, I know because being a healer sometimes can get a little frustrating. You know, a lot of people make progress, but then you get some that don't. And so what keeps you going back?
What keeps me going are the clients that I have helped and that I'm continuing to help. The testimonies that they've come back and told me, there's no greater joy for me than to hear somebody say, "You've given me my life back."
Wow.
You know, I've dealt with ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease that are really horrible diseases where people are housebound.
Right.
And just being able to know that I've helped them, that keeps me motivated. And for myself, like, you know, we all fall off the bandwagon at times, and
You mean like when I eat that half a tray of lasagna?
yeah.
Okay.
And it is about balance. So once
Right.
the gut's healed, and I tell my clients, once your gut's healed and you're feeling good, you can cheat, and it's once in a while, and it's okay. And
Right.
I think most people don't realize how bad they feel until they feel good.
Until
and
they
then
feel
they
good.
realize, they're like, you know what, it's not worth it anymore. And it makes it real easy, much easier to be
Much
a lifestyle.
easier.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I always find that when people get to the point where they're tired of being sick and tired,
Right.
is usually the time when they come and start seeking out, you know, complementary care and alternatives to what routinely is maybe offered to them. And I encourage people, you know, give Debbie a call if you think that there's, you know, something that she can help you with, and I do believe that there is. I would like to thank you very much for being on the show today with me, and I look forward to working with you in the future because I'm sure we will be.
Thank you, Jill.
Thank you. Stay tuned with us. I have another special guest coming on for the second half of the program that is, to me, extremely important and goes to the root of a very widespread issue that we're having in our community as well as across the United States today. So please come back, stay tuned. I will see you shortly. I'm Jill O'Hara, host of Planting Seeds. I'm a registered nurse, certified holistic health practitioner, and a Reiki master teacher. I work with individuals and groups using health and well-being, life coaching skills. I also work as a community speaker to bring workshops and classes to the general public, to businesses and small groups, to provide information on holistic care. You can find me at my website, www.plantingseeds.us. You can find information on there about holistic care, herbal medication, supplements, essential oils, and there's also listings for online education that you can take at your convenience. I look forward to making contact with you in the future. Thank you. Welcome back to Planting Seeds. This part of the program, I have a special guest with me. His name is Tim Logsdon. He is a licensed mental health counselor, and I really wanted Tim to be on this show because he is out there working with families, individuals as well, creating a way for people to overcome addictions and to help people in so many different ways. And I see at least in the community where I come from, and I'm seeing it nationwide, we have a very huge epidemic of drug abuse problems. And I know Tim's been out there working his tail off to try and help people to help them to a better place. So I'd like to say welcome to you. Thank you for being with me
Thank
today.
you for having me. Thank you.
Tell me a little bit more about what it is that you do. As a licensed mental health counselor, you are helping families, you are trying to help people to become whole again.
I've been in this business for a long time in the helping professions right out of college and even before college working on my degrees. And I have a family focus, and I learned pretty early on that the family has a lot to do with a person's well-being, even more so than we're trained in school and more so as we do traditionally when we do therapy. Families are a big part of a person's overall holistic, who they are, their spirit, their being. And I try to take my focus into the family and to help the entire family rather than just one person. So it's common for a parent or a loved one to say, I have this person suffering from addiction, I really, really want to help that person. And there's almost like a predisposed idea, you take the person to a rehab or you take them to the counselor and they get better. But what I've found is if I have the whole family together, I can do much more for that one person, sometimes without even seeing that one person. Just by working with the family members, I can help that one person get better.
Wow, really?
So important. Family is just so important.
You know what? I hear more and more of that. I've encountered many people who have gone through rehab, and I know one of the focuses in there is them telling them to stay away from people,
Places, and things.
places and things that cause those triggers.
That's right.
And yet, family is one thing that they're generally going to go back to.
Yeah.
So this is why it's so important to help with the family.
So
to
important.
Include them.
So important.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And there's so many things that family members don't realize that they can do out of the goodness of their heart. You know, we're raised in a certain way and we're trained in a certain way to interact with people that we love, and we don't even realize that when drugs and alcohol enter the equation, that doing those things that we're trained to do actually makes the person worse. So we act out of the goodness of our heart, we go out of our way to help somebody, and we actually make it worse. So I help to educate family members on the little details about where are you actually making your loved one worse, and where are you helping them to get better. And many people say to me, I never thought of it that way, I never saw it that way, never was told about this kind of a thing, and hear that a lot from family members too.
Yeah, I can imagine, because it's difficult. I've personally have dealt with the family who've had addiction problems, and you think you're doing good, only to realize you didn't. You actually enabled them
Yes, exactly.
and made things worse.
Enabling is the right word, and you hit on a key word before that, and that's assumptions. Many people will make these assumptions that I think it's going well, and I'm pretty sure. I was talking with a mother today, and she said, well, my son told me this and my son told me that, and I said, time out. Your son told you those things. We have to realize a lot of times those things are not true. With addictions, there's a problem with honesty. There's a problem with forthcoming straightforwardness. So a lot of family members will assume, hey, the counselor did this or the doctor did this, when that might not have ever happened at all. So I help family members to kind of see through that, and there are a lot of really proven ways that can help somebody to really know what the truth is rather than making these assumptions. And as you know, sometimes assumptions nowadays are deadly.
Yes.
Making the assumption that things are going well, that my loved one's getting care, can be the wrong assumption to make. I had a father say to me just the other day, I took my son to rehab, put him in, I thought he was in good hands, and come to realize right afterwards he uses as soon as he gets out. And that's a very common thing in my field for someone to go to many, many rehabs, many, many counselors, and still be stuck in the same place that they are. And I think a lot of that is because of not involving the family enough.
I can see that totally, 100%. I think that there are times when we have to look to the fact that our family, our relationship, our emotional history, all that plays into what's going on with the person,
For sure.
with the addiction, as well as the family.
For sure.
And once you look into that emotional connection, now we can say, well, okay, wait a minute, we got a trigger right here, or
You got it.
those type of things.
You got it.
And As you mentioned, we're losing so many in this community weekly. The numbers just keep going higher and higher with overdoses.
Correct.
And I see, the services that you're providing, and I see you out there, getting involved in the community.
Yeah.
And I just hope that more and more people will become, involved and start stepping up and doing that in whatever capacity they can, because we're not all counselors, okay?
That's right.
We did talk about
That's
the
right.
potential for holistic health care to help with addictions, and that's something I would love to explore down the road.
Yeah.
When, how do you teach families to deal with addiction? I mean, I am part of a Facebook mothers group who deals, they talk about addictions.
Yeah.
And it's heartbreaking.
It is truly heartbreaking.
Heartbreaking. And how do you talk to family?
There's so many things that we can do. One of the first things that I'll do when I do work with a family, and many times I'll do home visits. So I'll come right out to the family's home, sit down with them in their living room, and I will be able to look at the details in all areas of their life in order to see what little corrections need to be made. Sometimes they're large corrections as well. We offer a family program in Amherst. It's free to all families. It's free to the community. You don't have to just be an Amherst resident. Once a month we do that at Amherst Town Court. And as you said, we have capacity for, I don't know, maybe 80, 90 people. Sometimes we have 20 people, sometimes we have 50, but we got a lot more space and there's a lot more families that could get in there. We're just trying to get the word out, and thank you for this show. It might be a way to get that word out there. So,
I certainly hope so.
yeah, and we offer, I do a lecture there. Carlene Bordenaro is my right-hand woman, if you will, and she's a registered nurse and she helps with addictions as well. And we try to inform people on where they can go to get help, how they can get help, and the little things that they need to be aware of. For example, we have a thing called best practices in our field. Best practices, a lot of people have never heard of those before, so I explain what those are and where to find them and how to get the help that they need.
Yeah. I want to remind the audience that Tim's information and his contact information is scrolling along the bottom of the screen. If you'd like more information for you, a family member, friends, or to find out more about the meetings that you're holding,
Absolutely.
I encourage you to give Tim a call and, make the connection with him. I think there's a lot that you do that goes above and beyond what I've seen some other programs do. Okay, let's just put it that way. And when I see that you're combining the whole person, the whole environment, the whole family all
unit.
that stuff together, this to me in health in general, this is where we need to focus and we need to be. So I really commend you for, working at that angle and not just taking a cookie cutter, type of counseling.
That's exactly it.
And we need to, move that forward there. When we look at addiction, one thing you and I had talked about was self-love. Okay.
So important, so important. Not just for the person that has the addictions, and that's extremely important. We have in our field a thing called core beliefs. Core beliefs are how I feel about myself, and I kind of, this shows my age, but I use the record player that kind of spins round and round in the back of the head. You have it, I have it, we all have these little things about ourselves, but especially when it comes to persons with addictions, they have some pretty negative LPs, if you will, or records that go around. So it's important for them to be more lenient on themselves and to have that self-love. But also, even more importantly, the family needs that too. And the family members get understandably stuck in, I'll do anything to help my son, I'll do anything to help my husband, I'll do anything to help my wife, and they lose themselves. And so many people say, I don't know how I got here, but I lost myself. They become sick, and then that makes the other person have more of a tendency to become sick too, in a downward spiral. So part of that is self-care, doing the things that I need to do as a mom, as a dad, as a family member, not just the person with the addictions. So important.
100%. In fact, this summer, August 14th, at Delaware Park, you'll be with us for the 5th Annual Holistic
Yes, I
Health
will.
Expo. So you can come and meet Tim over there. And our theme for this year is on self-love. And that was motivated by numerous overdoses and deaths from people from last summer. And being a holistic provider, I do encourage people to love yourselves. You have to love yourselves. But I think in this case, this is really, really beyond important.
It's life-changing, and life-saving.
Yeah, life-saving, that's what I like to hear. The other thing about addiction, tell me a little bit, is the stigma that's attached to it.
For sure, for sure. And this is so important. You and I had talked about this before, that there are ways that we can predict who is going to have a heroin overdose. There are ways we can predict who is going to have trouble with alcohol and drugs. One of the ways that we predict that is a good family history. When a young person is born, when a baby is born, oftentimes they're born with a genetic predisposition towards addiction. We can see that when we do a good family history. So we have one child, who is more at risk than 8 out of 10 of other children in the normal population. Once we see that, when that child gets to be 12, 13 years old, if there's an introduction of marijuana or alcohol, this is what starts the whole addictive process. Every single heroin person that I've worked with that's using heroin all tell me the same thing. I started with alcohol and marijuana. Every single person says that. So we can, if you're a parent out there and you have a child or you have a nephew or a niece that is using and also has a family history, that person needs professional help.
Really needs
Even if it's, he's going to school, he's going to work, or whatever, he's doing what he needs to, or she's doing, you still are going to need that help.
You're still going to need that help. Well, again, Tim, thank you. Thank you very much for being here with us today and enlightening our audience about addiction, but also about the holistic approach that you take and the ways that we can help people to heal.
Thank you, Jill.
All right. Okay, so before we close, I'd like to offer the seed of wellness for today. Today I have 2 plants in front of me, okay? Nature, okay, at its finest. The first one is spearmint. Spearmint is a crazy wild plant that will grow crazy wild if you don't keep it in a container. Spearmint is wonderful for stomach problems. You can use it in a tea, you can dry it, you can crush it. You can find it in essential oils. It's also great for bacterial problems, viral problems, fungal problems. It's a wonderful disinfectant. It's also very uplifting. It makes you feel good. I wish you could smell it because I can smell it as I'm sitting here. The power of plants, herbs, and the power of essential oils that comes from these plants are just absolutely wonderful. The other plant is called aloe vera, and aloe vera is an amazing plant that literally you can just break off the tip of this. It's wonderful for skin problems, particularly burns, but it's also antibacterial, antiviral. It is anti-inflammatory, which is wonderful. You can buy aloe vera juice to take internally to help reduce those gastric problems that you're having. It helps with cramps and spasms and a whole array of things. I encourage you to, look into it further or contact me and we can talk more about it. But I would just like to say thank you for being here.